Well, hello there. You're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Time then to see what's making the headlines with the political commentator Adam Boulton and the former First Minister of Northern Ireland, Baroness Arlene Foster. Lovely to see both of you. Welcome. So let's take a look at the front pages then, shall we? Starting with The Guardian and the emerging emails about President Trump's alleged links to the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein are the main story in The Guardian, which says the new claims pile even more pressure on Mr. Trump over what he knew about Epstein's activities. The Daily Mirror reports a claim from Epstein that Donald Trump spent hours with the woman at the centre of the abuse claims, Virginia Giuffre, although she isn't named directly in the emails. Meantime, Health Secretary Wes Streeting's public assertion that he's not plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer as Prime Minister leads the Metro, calling him a faithful. The Eye understands there's anger among ministers at the PM's Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, who they reportedly feel has been too forceful in pointing the finger at Mr Streeting. While the Telegraph says quite simply that Mr Streeting has gone to war with Downing Street. The Financial Times, too, says the briefings against Mr Streeting pile more pressure on the Prime Minister. The Sun pictures Olympic swimming champion Adam Peaty under armed guard with his fiancée after receiving death threats ahead of his stag night. And The Star says music stars Dua Lipa and Coldplay have backed the paper's campaign for a government cap on the soaring cost of concert tickets. So let's bring in Adam and Arlene. Welcome to both of you. We'll come on to the politics. Extraordinary 24 hours it's certainly been in a moment. But first of all, this massive tranche of Epstein files. And for Democrats, it's kind of proof that Trump was in them, you know, whether or not the claims that we've heard so far are damaging to him, Adam.
Yeah, we've had three emails showing that Trump knew what was going on, published by the Democrats, and then the response, a kind of flood of information coming from the Republicans, who've released, I think, something like 2,000 documents. So an awful lot for people to go through. The thing about these documents is that it's stated by Epstein that Donald Trump knew about the girls. It's also suggested that he spent an hour or hours with one of them. And you say she's not actually named in the emails. Caroline Leavitt, the White House spokesperson, has said that it was Virginia Giuffre. So I think
I think the Democrat released three emails we're talking about, didn't name it, but the unredacted document did.
Exactly.
But just quickly on this point, he knew about the girls. The suggestion is that could be that he knew that Epstein was poaching girls from Mar-a-Lago, like, for example, Virginia Giuffre, not that he knew about the paedophile tendencies of Jeffrey Epstein. Well, so this is the difficulty of, as the White House would say, cherry-picking selective elements of these documents.
And there's also one saying that he asked Ghislaine Maxwell to stop it.
Yes. Which is the poaching of the girls from, you know, this is
it the poaching, or is it was he actually?
And I mean, this is part of the problem. When you are getting part of a huge story, an enormous story like this, anybody can put their own spin on what it actually means. And this is the problem with selective emails coming out, because obviously people who are against Trump and want to paint him in a particular way are saying, oh, he knew all about it and he's been involved, whereas he is saying something completely different through his official spokesperson. So we won't actually get to the full story until we get all of the files released.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's obviously clear that Donald Trump and people working for him were reluctant to release these emails, but it's equally clear, I think, on what we've seen so far, is it's guilt by association that he knew what was going on, not...
That has not been proven, I think.
No, but that's a suggestion that possibly he knew what was going on. It's not a suggestion that he took advantage of the girls himself.
Because if you know, he spent several hours in his house, you know, he had said, or Ghislaine Maxwell said he hadn't gone to his house. If he'd spent several hours with a girl in his house, and that girl turns out to be Virginia Giuffre, which is what it does, and Virginia Giuffre herself in her book has said, Mr. Trump was, you know, as nice as pie to me, effectively.
Was always
nice to her.
Now, you know, a cynic might say, well, it's sort of life insurance policy, really, but she's dead, she can't say that. But, I mean, all I'm saying is there's nothing coming out of this which suggests that Trump directly did something wrong.
Yes. Well, this is why everybody still tonight is demanding, you know, the full disclosure. And whether the House Oversight Committee, which has done this so far, both the Republicans on it, and I think by the time you open files of files of files, it's actually a tranche of 23,000 documents, Adam. But, you know, one is least the other. The Mirror picking up on that claim he spent hours with the victim. That victim, the White House pointing out, was Virginia Giuffre.
But also,
who said Donald Trump had done nothing wrong.
I haven't seen any of this stuff directly that's been leaked tonight, and I don't know what the dates it's referring to, because I think it's also, at the moment, the story is that Donald Trump's friendship with Epstein ended sometime in 2003.
Yes.
Because they had various arguments. One suggested it was over poaching staff, including Giuffre from Mar-a-Lago. Other suggestions that they fell out over a property deal. So what we, again, you know, if people are trying to understand the scale of the allegations, if all this discussion is about that period, in the case of the association with Epstein of Peter Mandelson, or indeed Prince Andrew, we're talking about another 10 years or so of association.
I think definitely some of this is from later than that. From 2011 to 2016 was my understanding. But there's still so much coming out. And there's so much dropping on the news agency wires. There's so much on social media. This will be days in the making.
I mean, the point is...
And that's the difficulty for Mr. Trump and his team.
The point is the emails were exchanged because Epstein was in trouble legally by then. But when he says that Trump knew about the girls, he could be referring to a much earlier period before he was charged, either in Florida or subsequently.
Yeah, it's a job and a half going through it right now, and that's
what our
team is doing.
It's very difficult for the public to understand. I mean, it's difficult if you're listening to an interview earlier on. You were interviewing one of the lawyers involved in the case, and it's so difficult to follow the line of questioning and story for everybody. So this again causes more confusion, and I think what we want to see is clarity, and it's not forthcoming anytime soon, I don't think.
Well, I spoke to one victim tonight who suggested there could be up to upwards of 1,000 victims of Epstein, and they will be wanting, you know, some form of justice, is what I was told. But Arlene, why don't you take us through what has been a really extraordinary 24 hours in the world of Downing Street. Telegraph, for example, I don't know which one you've picked up on, but Streeting goes to war with number 10. Didn't he handle himself well in the rounds earlier today?
You know, I think what he showed this morning was, last night when I seen that he was doing the press rounds this morning as the government spokesperson, I thought, right, OK, this is going to be a bit of a test. Let's see how he does. And I think he hit everything spot on, and he showed how in touch he is with popular culture by referring to the traitors. He's not a traitor, he's a faithful. I thought that was really very clever. He'd obviously thought about how was he going to address this, and he addressed it in a way that I think a lot of people can relate to, and I think people will think, that's someone who knows what he's doing. Also,
both bearing in mind that Downing Street detonated this, and everyone is saying the person who went further than everyone else, saying that Keir Starmer would fight, and actually fingering Streeting for alleged disloyalty was Morgan McSweeney. And Morgan McSweeney, in putting it in the papers last night, would have known that Wes Streeting was going to do the rounds in the morning. So he presumably, if we accept that he wanted to do Streeting down, he presumably felt that Wes Streeting would have a rough time, whereas my own view is that Wes Streeting probably turned it to his advantage. And as Arlene says, you know, with his quips about Faithful and Shergar and who killed the Kennedys and all that, I mean, he showed he's a good communicator, which is not something a lot of people are saying about the Prime Minister.
Well, indeed. Where does that leave the Prime Minister? There's the eye, number 10 in turmoil, before the budget, of course, as ministers turn their anger on top aide McSweeney. I mean, is the suggestion now that he has to go? Because there was a call from Wes Streeting to sack those involved.
Yes, there was, but at the same time, on the record, he said that Labour wouldn't be in government now if it wasn't for Morgan McSweeney. So whether he's playing a clever game on that, I don't know. But it's never a good thing for a political party or a government if backroom staff are being named on the front pages of the papers. And I think this is very bad for the government. I
mean, Starmer was asked about this at Prime Minister's questions, and he sidestepped it. And I think the analysis would be that Morgan McSweeney is so essential to Keir Starmer and Keir Starmer's career. He's his chief of staff, that I don't think unless we get cabinet ministers coming out in the open saying Morgan McSweeney has got to go. Wes Streeting said the person who did it has got to go, but he didn't name him. Unless it comes out in the open, I think that he's probably safe because Starmer needs him.
Well, the question was put to the health minister, person below Wes Streeting. 50 ministers have signed up to a plot. Oh, I don't recognise those numbers. But is there a plot? Is there moves afoot? And when will it be? Will it be budget or will it be the May elections, which are really critical in some parts of the country?
I think what it shows is there's dissatisfaction with the direction of the government at the moment. Adam has said that the Prime Minister's not a great communicator, and I think that's a bit of an understatement, to be honest. There's been policies put out there that haven't been followed. Rachel Reeves made a landmark speech at 8:30 in the morning one morning, and frankly, I don't know what it was about because nobody really reported on the content of it.
The unfortunate thing today... report on it, it just didn't have any content.
Yeah, well, so. OK. Well, the unfortunate
thing... It was the justification for what is to come, wasn't it?
But the unfortunate thing for Wes Streeting is he was doing the round today because he was wanting to talk about the NHS, he was wanting to talk about the day job. I don't see anything about the day job in the papers. So, I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, but, you know, as to when the danger point comes, I mean, what was interesting was there seemed to be an attempt in the briefings, allegedly not just from Morgan McSweeney, but from cabinet ministers as well, saying that there was a plot afoot to kind of preempt it, to blow it up before it got underway. But they've sort of put it on the agenda. So now people will be looking at the budget. And if the budget gets a big thumbs down from the public, and I have to say, I said to Arlene tonight that sitting on the front bench, Rachel Reeves looked pretty miserable. And she said, you said that last time we were on together. But, well, the story hasn't changed, is all I can say.
Yeah. I want to show the Daily Mail just quickly as well, Adam, because in the world of Project Fear, last night it was if we go, Reeves and Starmer, the bond markets will go to hell in a handcart. Now it's if you go, there's going to trigger an election, and you clearly don't want that with the polls. So there is a Project Fear element here. We, of course, understand that the Prime Minister and Wes Streeting have now spoken. It was very brief, but we understand the PM has apologised to Streeting about the briefings without going into any further detail. So perhaps the olive branch is extended for the faithfuls to be together.
That accepts that it's happened.
Yes.
Which is quite extraordinary.
Yes, and that it came from number 10, actually, as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're running over. Do apologise. Lots to pack in, including, is the BBC ready to apologise to Donald Trump over its controversial edit of his January the 6th speech? Discussing that next.
Liberation Day.
By popular demand, here we are.
Donald Trump. It is quite the story. Wherever it goes, on Trump 100, we go with it.
Can you tell us who you're looking for?
Unbelievable we've come to this.
Are you overstating the reach and significance of this deal?
Not like you said it.
From the UK.
Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
It was 10 feet from him, and all of a sudden the shots rang out.
People impacted.
I'll tell you on another day on the podcast what that was all about.
Join us wherever you get your podcast.
I'm Cordelia Lynch, Sky's Asia correspondent, based here in Bangkok.
These slums, once gripped by fear and death.
There is far less bloodshed now, but it hasn't gone away.
Who's asking you to kill?
The police will give me the orders, and after I kill the target, I throw the gun away.
We try our best to uncover and unpick a fast-changing and deeply complex region.
These large waterways provided an excellent source of body disposal.
This is the Buriganga River, where victims who'd allegedly been shot dead were dumped.
Sheikh Hasina, how confident are you that she will stand trial?
She will stand trial, there's no doubt about that.
We're going to take you to the very heart of a criminal network, going undercover inside Southeast Asia's scam centres for the very first time.
We won't have any problems with police, it's okay. Just seen Imran Khan leave, and as we understand it, he's just been shot in the leg.
They have decided that the only way they'll allow elections is if I'm inside jail or killed.
Sky News get the full story first.
Chinese vessels start encircling the boat we're on, blocking its path.
The Chinese are now deploying water cannons, firing it directly towards our boat. We've discovered doctors across Delhi dishing out pills like this, claiming they will provide a lifelong cure for homosexuality.
Rohingya people fleeing an escalating civil war.
The situation here in Cox's is desperate. An already insecure place does feel a lot more precarious.
I'm Stephen Murphy, and I'm Sky's Ireland correspondent based here in Dublin.
The waters of Ireland and Britain should be home to great white sharks.
If there are great white sharks in this area, there's no reason they wouldn't come here to feed. It's basically a buffet on a beach. This could be not only a record-breaking storm, but potentially the most dangerous storm ever to hit Ireland.
What might happen if Russia attacked the UK?
This is clearly an enormous show of force.
It is definitely out of the ordinary.
We ran a war game with former ministers back in the hot seat.
Ben Wallace.
Amber Rudd.
Jack Straw.
It's the kind of war game that's genuinely tested inside government.
The Russians are signalling that there may be an attack.
Russia knows our weaknesses, but do you? I'm Deborah Haynes. From Sky News and Tortoise, this is The War Game. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. You're watching the press preview with me tonight, Adam Boulton and Baroness Arlene Foster. Welcome back to both of you. The BBC is ready to apologise, we're told.
Well, this is a story on the front page of the Daily Telegraph. It's a continuation of their coverage of the story. Of course, they were the paper that did all of the work on this story, and obviously it's in their interest to keep the story going, so they're now talking about the fact that BBC is ready to apologise to Trump over the video which was doctored by the BBC, that Panorama programme, in terms of his speech. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Friday's the deadline for whatever the BBC is going to do, so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yes, interesting you use the word doctored. It certainly was a dodgy edit, wasn't it? But you think there's no case, Adam, don't you? You've been very outspoken about this,
the BBC has already apologised, a bit late, but it has already apologised for what I think we'd all accept is not normal journalistic practice, which the deputy head of its news said it was. Yes. It was a mistake. On the other hand, it was in something 3 years after the event, which I don't think Donald Trump ever saw.
But a week before the election, where the same candidate was standing.
Yeah, but no one complained at the time. And I think also there are legal arguments about just how strong his case is. And I don't think if it did go to court, he would win or get big damages, let alone $1 billion. But that's a big gamble for the BBC. And what they really have to decide is apologising is no problem. Possibly not showing the programme anymore, which was one of the demands.
You couldn't possibly show it again.
Is probably no. Well, you could. Is not a problem. The problem will be the money and whether they're prepared to use licence payers' money in any way to buy things off, and that's a very difficult decision.
Well, don't forget £2 million of taxpayer or licence payers' money had to go to Sir Cliff Richard when the same man, Jonathan Monroe, authorised the use of the helicopter that day. So, I mean, this man is now the head of news, albeit probably temporarily, but he's still the head of news.
But I do think, I love the sort of violence of the language. You know, we've got Caroline Leavitt saying that the BBC is, quotes, a leftist propaganda machine, whether they apologise or not is not up to them. And she goes on to say that it was unfortunate that the broadcaster is state-funded. So, you know, this is really significant interference in the media affairs of another country.
We're running out of time. You want to do the Daily Star, which was this idea about ticket prices. I'm going to jump through that because you've picked another story at the bottom of the Telegraph. I don't know if I ask you to be careful what you say. I'm not sure I do. You're telling me it's a science story. In 30 seconds, Hitler's DNA proves he did only have one ball.
Yes, and may indeed have had a micro-penis. This is genuine science. Modern science, analysing genetics, has shown that the old story about Hitler's only got one ball was probably accurate.
Goodness me.
And we understand I've junked, like your father wrote a book about Hitler and women.
Hitler and women. I've run out of time to tell you all about that, though. Maybe next time. Adam, Arlene, thank you both so much. Thank you. Top stories are next.
We are under Israeli military restrictions in terms of some of the things that we can film, but it's important to be in there. What a slow drive for the president as he approaches his golf club. 4 more years! Free wherever you get your news. I'm Mark Stone and I'm Sky's correspondent based here in Washington, D.C.